Hey guys, this is Chase from the Tech Union. In this video we're going to be looking at 3D. This is the last video in the beginner tutorial series, and this is kind of the final wrap up to everything we've been talking about. It's not like a big review. You're definitely learning a bunch of new stuff today, but it's probably going to be the most exciting video that I've done so far. So let's get right into it because I anticipate this video to be a little lengthy. So let's get going. So we're going to start out creating a new composition. We're going to call this 3D. Everything appears to be good. We're not going to be working with much duration at all. In fact, that doesn't even matter, so we're all good to go. So I have a white background here because I usually have my transparency here, or my little grid, but I went ahead and went with the white background because of the stuff we're going to be working with. So I'm going to start out by going as basic as possible. So when you drag in a clip to your timeline, the clip is obviously 2D, so we can drag it around like this. We can rotate it. When we rotate it, it just rotates on a flat plane like this. Now what we can do is we have a little cube down here, and when we check this cube, we instantly enter the 3D space. Now don't worry about this, I will talk about this in a moment. Anyway, so we're now in 3D space. We can, as you can see, we now have three axes to work with. We have the Y, the X, and the Z. So we move the Y, this moves basically up and down. Now when you're on your selection tool, and you click on an axis and you move on it, it's going to be moving in the direction that the arrow is pointing. So I can't move left and right on the y-axis. I'm moving up and down right now. And then the X, and then the Z is forward and back. You can't see it that well. It looks like it's just scaling up and down, but we're actually in 3D space now. Now, and you can still drag the photo like this. Now, one of the most essential things for working in 3D, doesn't matter what project it is a camera. A camera is basically your way of seeing into the 3D world in After Effects. Let me put this to full because we don't need half yet. Alright, so we're going to create a new camera. Just leave the settings alone right now. It doesn't really matter how it looks because of what we're working with. So we're just going to leave everything default. Now that we have a camera, we need the tools to navigate the camera. So we're going to go over here. These are our camera tools. Now you can cycle through these by pressing C. This tool basically kind of orbits around. Okay. It just orbits around with your camera. This tool basically does the exact same thing. It's the same thing. This little icon and this are the same thing. But that's this tool. It's called your orbit tool. So as you can see, we're now in 3D space. It looks really cool. The next tool is this is for moving across your X and Y axis depending on what angle you're looking at. Right now we're moving along X and Y, and this is to move into like your Z dimension depending again what angle you're looking from. So we're moving towards the photo and back. If we go so far in, we're eventually going to go through the photo. Or it won't let us because you can't do that with a camera. However, you can easily move stuff through other things. I'll show you that in a moment. So now I'm going to talk about some basic navigation rules of 3D space. So let me go back to my selection tool. We're going to click on this image, and I've talked about this basic stuff. Now there's also rotation. So if we click W, now we're rotating. Oh, that's the whole thing. If we click on Y, we can rotate like this. Alright, pretty basic. Z like this. I mean X, sorry, and then Z like this. Okay, and if you grab the image on the side, it's a little more freedom. However, it's a little harder to control. And those are the basic movements of 3D space. So this is just a photo. You can pull a clip in, and it'll be just like this, except a movie clip that will play when you go through your timeline. If we duplicate this, you can intersect photos. So if we take this one, pull it out, and rotate this, you can see that now the photos are intersecting. We can rotate around, and you can see that. Alright, so we'll get rid of these. We'll get rid of all this now, and we're going to create a new text layer. And we're going to call this, we're just going to say 3D. Alright. Now, oops, sorry. Now in this layer, we're just going to kind of place it right here. Now we can easily make this layer 3D, and we can do all the basic functions that we've already done. Let's go ahead and create a camera again. I shouldn't have deleted that other one. Alright, and we're rotating around. Very basic. Now we're going to do something called Raytrace 3D. I'm not exactly sure what version of After Effects this started in, but I'm thinking somewhere around CS5 or CS6. But Raytraced 3D, basically it's a different type of 3D that allows yeah, I'm just gonna have to show you guys. So I have my text now. It looks a little different than it did, but if you notice, it's still the same. It's still flat, still a flat surface. Now I'm gonna change it to quarter, because now ray traced, we're getting into dangerous rendering. I can't talk. Dangerous rendering time territory. There. Say that 10 times real fast. So now that we have Raytraced 3D on, we have options. So before we go into the options, actually no, let's go ahead and do this. We have geometry options. That's basically what Raytraced 3D opens up. So now we have extrusion depth. So if we move around this text, we change the extrusion depth. These are some long words. Let's go ahead and change that. Look at that. So now it's added some depth to our text. And that adds a lot of style. I really enjoy working with Raytrace 3D. The only problem being, of course, the rendering times. But not too big of an issue. We can change this to half. You can see that a little bit better. There it is. Alright, so now we're going to add lights. So the best way to illustrate lights is to make a floor plane and add a shadow. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new solid. Oops, that's a light. I'm sorry. Create a new solid. This solid is going to be kind of a lighter gray. I don't want it to blend in with the background. Okay. I'm going to make this solid a 3D layer. Okay. Then I'm going to rotate the solid like this. Keep in mind we're in Raytrace 3D, so it's a little longer rendering time. I'm going to move it down below. Oops, I'm still in rotation. I'm going to move it down below the 3D layer, or the 3D text, I should say. Right, that should be about good. And then we're going to take the scale way up just so we can expand it. Alright, there we are. I'm going to move us around a little bit, so we're looking down on it. Okay, so now basically nothing is being lit, the 3D is not casting a shadow, and that's because we don't have a light in the scene. So we're going to add a new light. Now there's a few different types of lights. There's parallel, spot, point, and ambient. I'm just going to focus on a spotlight right now. It's probably the most basic and just easy for the first time seeing lights ever. So we have the intensity, the cone angle, cone feather. These two options basically just change the size of your light, kind of where it's hitting, the intensity, that's self-explanatory. And you want to make sure we have cast shadows on. So we're going to click OK. Immediately we have strange things happening, and that's because some of the settings that are in our layers are not compatible to be casting shadows at this point. So we're going to change some things. We're going to go into our light gray solid. Don't worry, I know it sounds a little tedious, but it's not that bad. We're going to go into our material, and we're going to turn accept lights to off. We don't want our solid accepting anything. We want that off. I'm going to go ahead and change this to half because it's bothering me a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Alright, so that's all we need to do there. Now we're going to go to our text, to material, and we're going to change cast shadows to on. And you can see instantly, this is really annoying. Boom, we have a shadow. Now the problem with this shadow for me, too dark, and it doesn't look quite real enough. We can move our light, by the way, just as any 3D layer, or 3D object I should say. So let's go ahead and go to our light settings and let's change some things around. So let's go to our shadow darkness and let's lower that a little bit. It's a little dark. I don't want it that dark. That should be good. And then the shadow diffusion. This basically kind of feathers out your shadow, makes it a little softer, and makes it look more realistic. Alright. Oops. Okay. That should be good. And obviously, if you raise the resolution, it's going to look a lot better. So let's wait for this full resolution to load or render. Come on. There we go. So you can see as it's closer to the text, it is sharper, and then farther away, it gets more diffused. Looks very nice. So basically, that's about it. Those are the basics of 3D. There's so much more to 3D, but these were the basics, teaching how to maneuver in 3D space. By the way, there's also another function that can help a lot. So basically, your active camera is kind of where this camera is right now. So this is your camera. If you go into here, you can actually take the view of the camera, which is almost the same as the active camera. You can also take views like top view. So if we go to top, which I don't want to take the time to render this out, let's go to quarter. You can see that we are now above everything. So here is our camera, here's our light, and here's our text and our shadow. So this kind of gives you a different perspective on everything, which is very helpful when you're working on a 2D screen in a 3D program. It's essential, because otherwise you don't know what you're looking at. So that's about it. This taught you the basics of maneuvering. It taught you how to apply layers and make them 3D, as well as text, as well as how to turn on Raytrace 3D and make shadows. If you need to re-watch this tutorial, feel free to. There's a lot of information in this tutorial. However, this is your opportunity to start taking some cool stuff into After Effects and making it look amazing in 3D space. So this completes the beginner tutorial for After Effects. If you're going to continue with the tutorials, the intermediate and advanced tutorials will be coming out on full release, so look forward to those. And the beginner tutorial section will continue to be updated with new little projects that are on the beginner level, so look forward to those as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys when the other videos come out on full release. Thanks guys. Bye.